And as you said, authenticity is something that you really emphasize a lot in your work. Can you define authenticity for us? And what does it look like to you? And why is it so important for building those strong relationships?
Well, we have personal authenticity and we have professional authenticity. And a lot of people have challenged me on that to say, I don't think you can really be authentic, your authentic self in your business or in your job or, in your career. I don't think you can really be authentic because you have to be like a certain way when you walk into your place of business. You can't be how you are with your family or, when you get off of work. But I don't think it's a matter of that. We all have areas in where we have different facets of our personality. I think it really equates more to values. What are my values? What are my boundaries? That should never change. Whether it's in the office, whether it's in your business, or whether it's in your personal life. So, for example, one of my boundaries is you don't get to yell at me. And the consequence of that is perhaps I'll shut down. Perhaps I will say that I need to exit the conversation because it no longer feels safe. So, if that's one of my boundaries in my personal life, that's the same boundary that's in my business. It's the same boundary that if I was working in corporate America, which I was at a time, and I did have a director that would yell and scream, and it was so disruptive to me and so traumatizing. And I had a young child at the time, and I was scared that I would lose my job if I spoke up. But that was when I had to really make a decision and say, you know what? I'm more committed to my values and my boundaries than this job. If they can't understand that they don't get to yell at me like that, then I will just have to find another job. And I have everything within me to do that and to make it work. And I had to have that kind of attitude and that faith. And that was when I really had made up my mind that I would never not use my voice and I would always be authentic, even in the workplace. So that's an example. A value could be that you don't lie. Like, I'm not going to lie for my teammates. I'm not going to lie to a customer. And that value should be the same, in business. If you won't lie to your family, if you won't lie to yourself, then why would you change that once you get into the professional space? That's why I believe there's no way that you can't be authentic in the personal space. I mean, in the professional space. So, authenticity, I've talked a lot about it, and I know some of you are probably thinking, well, what is it? Can you give us the definition? Authenticity is honestly, in a nutshell, your truth. It is your core truth. So think about if you woke up in the morning and you didn't have to worry about public opinion and you didn't have to worry about judgment and you didn't have to worry about what people thought of you. Who would you be? Who would you be?
I love that. And
Yeah, because once you once you think about that, I'm thinking about it now and I have chills because I know who I would be. And it makes me immediately feel free. It makes me immediately feel so empowered. And so a lot of times we don't feel that way. And so we're not really walking in authenticity. I'm not saying we don't feel that way in every area of our life, but there are areas that we struggle with in being just free and just being open and not worrying about the judgment because the judgment is something that's very, very hurtful and it doesn't feel safe for us. So we do the opposite of what we may think we're going to be judged for when the opposite may not be our truth, you know? So that is the best way. I mean, I can go on and on about authenticity, but I think that's the simplest way to describe what it feels like. I also want to say one thing about limiting beliefs is that sometimes when you are leaning more into being authentic, you challenge yourself to start to question, do you really believe like everything that you say you believe? Like, do you really believe it? Because think about it. Once you're born, that's when mom, dad, uncles, teachers, social media start to really give those messages. And so I think we're the most authentic when we're born because we don't have all of that stuff. So it's almost like we have to reprogram ourselves and say, like, do I really believe that? Or is that my mom talking? Do I really believe that? Or is that my second grade teacher talking? You know, I'll say, tell you something funny. My mom is allergic to a lot of things. So she said that I was allergic to a lot of things. So she would say, oh, you're allergic to this because she was allergic to it. And then once I became an adult, it was almost like I was like, I want to try this just to see what happens, you know? And half of the things that she said I was allergic to, I'm not.
Wow.
And I actually enjoy them. But she just kind of, you know, I don't know what it was, but it was like, well, I'm allergic to dairy, so you're allergic to dairy, you know? So I don't know what that was about. I guess I'll have to have a conversation with her. But I'm glad that I had the courage to start testing these things out. And then it just kind of led me on a road where a lot of the things that I thought were my thoughts weren't really my thoughts. So I think that connects also to authenticity.
I think that happens a lot, and it's something that I work on with my clients as well, just uncovering those limiting beliefs and the conditioning that we have been brought up with. I think one of the reasons why so many people just struggle with being authentic is that they have been conditioned to feel that they are not good enough, like what your second grade teacher did to you. And because they feel that they're not good enough, they try to be someone they're not. And they're trying to be the person they think and they do the things that they think they're supposed to do in order to feel happy, or at least the things that make them look good and successful on the outside. And thus, they create that mask and this public persona that often has so little to do with who they really are. And which I think creates a lot of this cognitive dissonance and a ton of pressure because they feel that they have to keep up their performance all the time, or else people will find out and they will be judged. And that would all be, devastating, destroying who they are.